Welcome to your specialized wine course and thank you for attending. By being here, it means you are a highly important member of your service organization and pivotal to the improvement of the guest experience in your restaurant. In other words, you are a very important person, thus, this course is for you. In this course, you will learn how to improve guest experiences through better wine and food pairing. You will also gain the skills and knowledge needed to one day take the next step in your hospitality career. During this course, we will cover wine making techniques, wine laws, wine service and food pairing, important wine regions of the world, and the major grape varieties of the world. The best thing about it is that actually all of this is quite easy to learn, and once you have gained the knowledge, you will get to keep and use it forever. After all, most of us will be drinking wine for the rest of our lives. We will quickly go through how to use this program to your maximum advantage. Firstly, you are able to pause the session at any time by clicking the pause button. You can also review any of the sessions you have already watched if there is something you have forgotten and want to watch it again. It is, however, important that you go through the sessions one by one to ensure you don't miss out on important information. Next, we want the learning experience to be as effective as possible. In order to do this, it is important that you study the material handed out to you previous to watching each session. The material will be marked with the session number so it is easy for you to see what you need to study for each session. Once you have read the study material, watch the presentation, and whilst doing so, take notes. By taking notes, you will increase your learning dramatically, and you will retain information which would otherwise be forgotten. When you have watched the presentation, it is then time to check your knowledge on the questions linked to each session. Once you have studied and watched the presentation, it should be easy for you to answer any of the questions. Lastly, a great way to learn about wine and food is to drink and eat. So, we suggest that you eat plenty and try to pair your meals with the wines you are studying about. This point is my personal favorite. However, it is advisable to drink responsibly whilst doing so. The learning outcome of the course are divided into bite-sized chunks focusing on individual subjects, for example, grape variety. Let's say Sauvignon Blanc and the most important regions in which Sauvignon Blanc is grown. The following learning outcomes will be dealt with in the sessions to come: natural factors affecting wine, wine making, wine service and food pairing, key grape varieties, key wine styles of the world, key wine regions, and grapes of Italy. The overall objectives with the course is to increase the guest satisfaction. With today's social media and the lightning quick feedback guests leave online, it is more important than ever to give our guests a great dining experience in order to have a great business. Session 1 through 4 are the founding sessions for the course and are as much about geography as winemaking. Once these sessions are over, the rest of the course will be much easier to understand. Do not get disheartened by specific wine regions during the first 4 sessions, as they are merely used as reference points. All specific wine regions and grapes will be covered in later sessions. So even there are some grapes and wine regions you don't know now, don't worry, it will be covered in more detail later. Now, let's get to it. Vine versus wine. The vine is the plant which grows grapes, whereas wine is what is in a bottle. There are a bunch of vine varieties used depending on which grapes we want to produce. Some are good for eating, others are good for winemaking, thus ending up in a bottle as the one we see here. Latitude and altitude. There are two main areas where vine is grown. These can be seen on the picture as the northern and southern wine belts. The temperature shown on the slide refers to the average temperature during growing season. This is the time from when the grapes form on the vine until they are harvested. The northern belt, which lays home to Europe and North America, has its growing season during the months of May through to September and sometimes October. In the southern belt, which covers South America, Australia and South Africa, the growing season is from October to April. The cool areas are generally furthest away from the equator. In the northern belt or northern hemisphere, that means northern France, Germany and Canada, just to mention some that are located in cool climates. Moderate climates are found in northern Italy and California. Warm climates are places such as the Rhone Valley in the south of France and warmer parts of California. Hot climates are in the north of Africa and the very south of Europe, such as Sicily in Italy or southern Spain. There are other factors that influence the climate. Mountains can make regions cooler, rivers and oceans can keep regions warm and bring a cooling effect to the area. Altitude and sunlight. For every 100 meters we rise from the sea level, the temperature drops by 0.6 degrees Celsius. That means the higher up in the mountains we go, the cooler the climate gets. In Argentina, some vineyards are located more than 4,000 meters above sea level. Other vineyards in the same region may be located much lower at around 1,000 meters above sea level. This makes for two very different climates, and the two vineries will produce two very different wines despite their close proximity and same choice of grapes. Another hugely important factor is the sun. The more sunlight a vine gets, the more sugar it can produce. This will in turn create riper grapes with riper fruit aromas. In warm and hot regions, vines easily get plenty of sun, but in cool climates, it is best for the vineyard to sit on a slope facing the sun in order to get enough sunlight. This allows for riper grapes with more aromas. Sitting on a slope is called aspect. Vineyards facing rivers and lakes also get extra sunlight due to the reflection of the sunlight from the water. That is why Northern Europe's best vineyards always sit on a slope facing the sun. And yes, many of these get extra sun from the river reflecting sun rays from below. Here we have a map of the world's ocean currents. The red circles depict the main wine-producing regions of the world. Ocean currents, lakes and rivers retain heat and give higher average temperatures and longer growing seasons in cooler climates. This allows the winemaker to leave the grapes a little longer on the vine, ripening them a little extra. It is the reason many cool climate wines can even be made. Without the Lake Ontario, many of Canada's wines could not be made, and Bordeaux would not be able to ripen the Cabernet Sauvignon grape properly without the prolonged growing season. Naturally, without the great Bordeaux wines, the hearts of many wine lovers around the world would simply be destroyed, including mine. And so, we have to give thanks to the ocean currents. In warmer climates, such as USA's west coast and South Africa, the cool ocean currents help decrease the average temperature. These currents are often joined by similar temperature winds, which can cool the vineyards further inland. Here you can see that Europe's west coast has a warm ocean current which helps give riper grapes in areas such as the Loire and Bordeaux. In California, the cold currents around San Francisco blows cold winds into the Sonoma and Napa counties, which keep down the average temperatures and helps retain acidity in the grapes. In South Africa, Walker Bay and Stellenbosch gets the cold Arctic currents and winds, which helps cool down the otherwise hot climate. South America also gets cold Arctic currents, and with the Andes Mountains to the east of Chile, South America has some of the best vine growing conditions in the world. In general, Australian climate can be categorized as warm or hot and dry. However, there are a few exceptions such as Clare Valley and Adelaide Hills. A very important part of any white wine is acidity. Acidity keeps wine fresh and gives structure. In cool climates, grapes have a hard time ripening. When grapes are struggling to ripen, they are more acidic. Once grapes are fully ripe, they will have gained more sugar, but also lost some acidity. As therefore fruit is sweeter in warmer countries. They get more sun and lose much of their acidity. Vineyards located on a hill with aspect facing the sun gets more sunlight too. In turn, the grapes ripen more and develop aromas which belong to warmer climates. An example of this is cool climates vineyards producing wines with aromas of passion fruit, but more about that later. In cool climates, we therefore get white wines with high acidity. The aromas they generally develop are green apple, herbal, and some mineral notes such as flinty stone. In moderate climates, the wines have medium to high acidity and develop aromas of fruits grown in warmer climates. These include peach, lemon, grapefruit, white melon, and nectarine. Warm climate white wines lose much of their acidity. This is because they get much sunlight and warm, hence become super ripe with high sugar levels. These wines typically have overly ripe tropical fruit aromas such as banana, mango, and passion fruit. If we look at the red wine, much of the same goes. But as you probably know, the aromas in red and white wine are completely different. If we look at the basic climatic influence on red wine, we can say that cool climates produce wines with high acidity. Warm and hot climates produce wines with low acidity. Another big difference from cool to warm climate red wines are the aromas. Although the aromas may still be of berries, they change completely depending on the climate. In cool climates, we get red berry aromas which are fresh with a savoury hint. Often this is combined with aromas of mushroom. In moderate climates, we get aromas of fresh red and black berries such as black cherry and black currant. Lastly, we have the warm climate wines where we can get aromas of both red and black berries, but instead of being fresh, the aromas here are jammy and sweeter. This is especially typical in New World wines. The best wines are made from grapes of intense flavour. The more grapes a vine produce, the more diluted the flavours become. Young wines naturally give high yields. In order to make quality wine from young vines, the producer must remove buds to ensure only a certain number of grapes on each wine. Some young vines produce grapes of excellent quality. Generally, however, they are used for lower quality bulk wines. Older vines are categorized as vines 25 years old or older. Some of the oldest vines in the best vineyards are more than 80 years old. These vines have a naturally low yield and produce grapes with great intensity and complexity. Because their yield is so low, they can be uneconomical. For that reason, many are uprooted in favour of younger vines. The only way to economically use old vines is to make premium wines with a high price tag, such as those in Bordeaux. When looking at yields and quality, remember that everything is relative. If there is much sunlight, heat, nutrients in the soil, the potential for higher yields of good quality is available. In cooler climates, the potential is lower. Therefore, it is natural for warmer climates to have higher yields compared to cool and moderate climates. It is therefore New Zealand is able to make large quantities of premium quality wine compared to the Loire Valley in France. Machine harvest versus hand-picked grapes. Although many people think hand-picking grapes give higher quality wines, it is not necessarily so. Some of the best wines of the world are produced using machine harvest. In reality, other factors are more important. For example, machine harvest is only possible on the plains, also known as flatland, with easy access for large machinery. It is impossible to do machine harvest on hills. Another factor determining the style of harvest is the type of grapes being harvested. Pinot Noir, for example, is very thin-skinned and will be damaged by machine harvest. Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah, on the other hand, can easily handle it due to their thick skins. The style of wine made is also highly important. If white wine is being made from a black grape variety, the grapes must not be damaged, as the color of the skin will seep into the flesh and give a red tinge. For that reason, these white wines must be hand-picked. By hand-picking grapes, the skilled worker can pick the best grapes and discard the others. However, this process can easily be done on a sorting table after the harvest has come in. Sorting the grapes on a sorting table is an essential process ensuring the highest quality of grapes are selected for the winemaking process. This is an important process for all premium wineries harvested their grapes via machine. In summary, wines around the world are affected by different climates. Cooler climate wines have higher acidity and delicate fruit aromas. Sometimes these are paired with herbal or earthy notes. Moderate climates shows more fruit character, yet retains acidity. Warmer climates have more tropical fruit flavor in white wines, but are generally better suited for red wines, which are big, bold, with lots of jammy fruit flavors. Lastly, remember the best vineyards are located with the best aspects. They have low yields and grow riper grapes with great flavor intensity. These vineyards can be located in cool or moderate climates, but because of the extra sunshine the grapes receive, they can develop fruit aromas which belong to warmer climates. This is all for session 1 and is a good first step in your wine